This is Hannibal back here from the Hannibal TV on YouTube with a UFO podcast. We have in the past done UFO Prophets podcast, checking the tape with myself and UFO Tarheel Casey here. But today there's so much news going on in the world of UFOs, and there's going to be more. It sounds like May is going to be a huge month for the month of UFOs, but we're going to basically catch everyone up to date on what's been going on with the UFO news the past few weeks. So, how are you doing, Casey?
Yeah, doing good. And yeah, it's been a lot going on. Some of the usual characters that are out there in the space are still pumping out content, so there's a lot to keep up with right now.
Yeah, and Anna Polina Luna just released a bunch of documents in the National Archives as well,
hmm
which I'm sure people are going to be starting to go through. There's
Yeah.
new videos coming out of alleged UFOs and more whistleblowers coming out as well. So I'll let you take it. Where do you want to start? Let's get into this.
Yeah, I mean, and what was released into the archives, just to let people know, and I have not mined through all of it. Um, if you ever wanted to go look it up, all you have to do is just search UAP National Archive. It's probably going to be your top Google result. Um, and it's broken out by sections of like who's reporting on it. Is it ODNI? Is it Department of Energy? Is it FAA? And you can kind of go in there and find some things that get reported. But it's not a lot of new stuff, or it's not a lot of things that it's a lot of sighting type material. So we're all very used to the FAA audio that we get every now and then where they're trying to identify something they see out, in the skies or out over the ocean. That has become quite common. So you imagine someone taking the transcripts of FAA talking about seeing something, and if it's happening every week, no one's going to mine through all that, right? No one's going to. We don't care. I mean, you're having so many FAA sightings that get transcribed into text every week, and then that gets released as a dump so that Anna Paulina Luna can, you know, do a thumbs up and say, "See, I'm being transparent." And we're like, "Yeah, I mean, this is okay, but this is the same kind of documentation we always get. There's no real like smoking gun there, not from what I've seen." It's kind of like the JFK release, right? I mean, JFK release came out, people went through it. There's nothing really there. I mean, there's some interesting stuff, as far as the semantics and everything that was going behind the scenes. But there wasn't really, and it could be there and they're not releasing it. I hear that excuse a lot. People say, well, they're not showing us the good stuff. If they release the Epstein files, we're not going to see the good stuff. And if they release the UAP files, we're not going to see the good stuff. And that may be completely true. But I'm just saying, I don't really see much in it. There's some interesting stories. There's some things that the new Skywatcher group can learn from. So, for example, just real quick, one thing that came from the release of information was, and it caught my eye when I was scanning through the documents, it was called a pilgrim drone spotting. So when it said pilgrim drone spotting, at first I thought, are they talking about pilgrims? Like, how the hell did that happen? How was there a drone? They're talking about a location, an area called Pilgrim, and I guess somewhere up north. I don't think it says here the state in the document, but someone probably knows that better than me. Massachusetts, okay. But there was apparently a sighting, and it was enough to get everyone into a stir to where the Plymouth Police Department had to arrive on site, and they saw it, and they became so concerned by it that they sent up the Massachusetts State Police helicopter to try to get a closer look at it, and they still couldn't figure out what it was. So I just bring that one up because if they can do it, why can't Skywatcher do it? So if people haven't watched our analysis of the Skywatcher episode 2 that was released here on Hannibal TV a couple weeks ago, go watch that. That's one of the main points I call out is if we have objects that they are seeing the Skywatcher team, this is the Jake Barber group. Gary Nolan's out there helping them. There's other people that are very interesting getting named to the board of Skywatcher. They admit one of these things that they're seeing in the sky was only at 4,000 feet. Well, a helicopter can go at least half that way. I don't know the exact helicopter Jake is flying on site when they're doing these, but he's got a helicopter there and it can at least go 2,000 to 3,000 feet in altitude. If that object is 4,000 feet away, you can't get a good shot at it from the ground. Why don't you fly the helicopter up there like the state police did in this incident and try to get a closer view of it? It was barely moving. It was just floating through the sky at wind speed. So these are the things like we're starting to become more polished.
And there's a link for it, guys, if you want to go back and watch Casey's great breakdown of the Skywatcher stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, we're getting, and I'm not talking about me, but as a group or as a community, we're getting smarter about asking questions. We're not going to sit around and look at blurry photos anymore. I have a crappy iPhone, iPhone 16 or whatever it is. I zoomed in the other day on an airplane going over my house at 39,000 feet. I pulled it up on flight radar. I could make out not only the shape and perfect, I zoomed in on it, the 25 times zoom or whatever you can do on your iPhone. Not only could I see the shape, I could make out the color. I even got some letters on the picture. And then when I pulled up flight radar, it shows a stock photo of the flight you're looking at. Exact match. It was a blue tail on the plane, and it was, at 39,000 feet. If the objects that Skywatcher is seeing are at 4,000 feet and they're still blurry, come on. I mean, what the hell do we have to do to be able to get these guys some equipment to where they can see something at 4,000 feet? That is not high up in the sky, people. Those of you that live near a major international airport or any kind of airport, there's things going over your house at 3,000, 4,000 feet all the time, and you can make out perfect everything on it just with the naked eye. So not to go back down that rabbit hole, but that's one thing that I thought was interesting when I saw that from the dump of documents that hit the UAP news this week. So
that's true. So you're not expecting much from this most recent Anna Paulina Luna stuff. You're expecting similar to JFK, which everyone pretty much agrees. Overall, there's been a little bit of stuff here and there, but not much of relevance.
And it could be baby steps. Okay. I mean, we got to show progress. So step one is just to show that you can get some documents released. Okay. It's a crawl, walk, run, fly progress. So we're crawling right now. We're just going to release some documents. Okay. Now that we're crawling, how do we walk and how do we start doing some more? So that's some of the news that's coming out. Representative Burleson is talking about how now that David Grush, everyone remembers him from the last couple of years, the whistleblower that came out, National Reconnaissance Office, Air Force Intelligence Officer, and he's on staff now, and he's given names and locations, right? We thought he already did that, gave names and locations, but Representative Burleson brought it up again that he's there on the Hill giving the names and locations of where these crash material are, where the people are that's been hands-on with this material. So I think maybe that'll start tying into it. It can't all just be these Representative Luna releases because they're just not going to be anything. It's just going to be these incident reports that we all hear about in our nightly news or in a random headline when you're scrolling Yahoo or Google News and you see a random headline from a local newspaper saying Massachusetts Police Department sends up helicopter to look at UFO. And we look at that and we go, oh, that's an interesting story. And we just keep on with our day. It's those kind of documents that are in these releases over and over and over again. There's nothing massive in them to where it would just be like some high up saying, yeah, send us this material from Lockheed Skunk Works and send it over here. And this is top secret. I mean, if there was something like that where it was, trust me, people would have already found it right now with the help of like AI searches and things like that. People would have found it. So, but another big one, and we talk about this guy a lot on the channel because he puts out really good content. Jesse Michaels just released this week the big one that we were all supposed to be waiting on, other than the Dr. Greer one that we talked about last time, the Harold Malgram. Have you had a chance to watch that one, Hannibal, or seen any?
I have not, because as you know, I had an injury and a concussion. So
Yeah.
there was about 4 days this week where I couldn't concentrate. But please fill me in, and I'm going to try and watch it over the weekend.
Yeah, it's a little hard to follow, and that's no slight on Harold Malgram. Malgram, rest in peace. I believe he passed after the podcast with Jesse, but his speech is a little rough, and again, it's not his fault. He's just got some type of a speech impediment. So 2 to 3 hours of you're trying your best to just follow. I'm just stating obvious. So it's a little hard to follow him. You're watching the subtitles and trying to listen to him, and he's doing his best, with the medical situation he had. So you have to kind of be patient and make the words out. But I mean, this guy was high up. So it was supposed to be a very big deal. I'll leave that to the audience when they watch it and want to make comments if they think it was a big deal. But this guy had situation room level access, like war room access. Whenever big things were going down, he would be in the room advising, trying to talk people down, like during the Cuban Missile Crisis. He was an advisor to JFK, LBJ, Nixon, Ford. So, I mean, you think about that. That's a very high up person, and now there's some scandal going on because whoever is controlling this Wikipedia page shit, I don't know if people pay attention to that. There's always some drama going on with Wikipedia, being able to control what's being said about you from the UFO community. If you're Lou
Yeah, I would
Elizondo.
love to know who controls that.
Yeah, and apparently someone's deleting Harold Malgram's page after this. So who is doing that and why? Why are they taking his Wikipedia page down? And apparently Chris Mellon, well known in the community, right? Former deputy director of intelligence or something. I don't know. People can go look up his whole title. Big fancy government title he used to have.
He's got something new coming out, doesn't he? He has a new whistleblower.
I'm not sure. I know he was in the Age of Disclosure documentary that's supposed to be coming out, and there may be some people in that, some new names, but his Wikipedia page got deleted. So apparently there's some big drama going on with some of these well-knowns that have been coming out and getting their Wikipedia page deleted. Don't know if that really matters, but it's an interesting note, right? But with Harold Malgram, the big thing there is, again, the high level access this guy had. People have to understand how this is ratcheting up. And I'll give you another example here in a second, how this is ratcheting up. But, we have David Fravor that came out with the tic-tac UFO sighting, and he's a Top Gun pilot. And everyone goes, wow, this is a huge advance in like whistleblower witness activity. And then you have David Grush, who's an insider, Air Force intelligence. Wow, this is, and it has a security clearance. Wow, this is a big step up, and we keep ratcheting it up like with the witness level. And now you have someone like this with Harold Malgram, and you see his credentials, and you're just like, this guy was being thrust into some very important backroom dealings with other governments and things like that. So I thought that was really interesting that, that he was all of a sudden having his page deleted. And then, of course, he passed on there after. But he brought up something in that people will really need to pay attention to, which is when we're doing these tests of rockets or launches and nuclear tests, things like that, that there is a terminology out there that had been kicked around, I guess, in the 50s and 60s called tag-along UFOs, and they were aware of them. And they even show a video of one. I believe it was from a Cape Canaveral launch, and they showed the video of it in Jesse's documentary, and you can see the rocket going up, and then a light appears off to the side of it, and the light starts following along the side of the rocket, and they call them tag-along UFOs. That was a neat video to actually watch, because if that's a thing, that's the kind of stuff I would be looking at in Anna Paulina Luna dumps, where she's dumping these documents out on the archives. Go keyword search tag along or something like that. Is that really a term? Because Harold Malgram says it's kind of a term they gave them, as tag along UFOs, when we do these test launches and stuff like that. And apparently it's brought some of them down, and they've recovered material. And he gets into that, where they call him into a room and they have some of the material laying out on the table. So kind of interesting there. And that was kind of some big news. So yeah, if you get time, you should definitely probably watch that one. It's interesting.
Oh yeah, well, you gave us a pretty good breakdown, but I definitely am going to be checking that one out. Has there been any more fallout from the Dr. Greer, Jesse Michaels interview since we last chatted?
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, Jesse stays pretty busy with obviously all of these releases he has going on. And then, the only thing I've seen Greer pop up on is a cruise. He released one of his cruise videos where I guess they were doing contact in the seas, or what do they call his? Oh my gosh, I know it and it slips my mind. CE5. So it's like CE5 on a cruise, right? So you can go on a cruise and he'll help you get into the zone, and you can then call some aliens. So I saw him release a video on that, and he's talking just his normal CE5 spiel about kind of the same thing that Chris Bledsoe says when he talks about speaking to these angelic beings that come and see him here in North Carolina. You have to be in the right mindset. If you're cocky or if you're skeptical, that they're not going to come visit you. You have to kind of have a childlike, innocent mind to channel these things. So it's the same kind of stuff we're used to hearing.
Have you tried that? Because I know you're very open-minded, but have you actually taken the time to try anything like that?
No, and I actually reached out to a friend to see if he would want to do it, and he never he never replied to me. He's one of these guys that I don't think he wants to go there. He's one of these guys that is very in touch with like spirituality and like spiritual cleansing and things like that. So I thought he would be a good resource to reach out to, because if you are going to do CE5 or try it to see if there's anything to it, why not go to someone who like tries to specialize in spiritual cleansing and things like that? If that's something you believe in, I don't know if it would work for me, because I am a skeptic. There's some stories I believe that I think probably something did happen when I'm reviewing these things, like the David Fravor thing. He saw something, right? I mean, he definitely saw something in the sky. Now we have to get on to the debate of, was it ours or was it alien? But he saw something, right? So I believe his story. So people, a lot of times they throw dirt at me and they say, well, you're just one of those skeptics. You don't believe anything. Well, you should question everything. But I also believe that some of this stuff could be true. I don't dismiss even the spirituality side of this. There could be something there, but I've never attempted anything like that, because, if it is true that you have to be of childlike mind and be completely free to the process, I don't know if I could ever get there. I'm always going to reserve a piece of where I'm going to critique.
And that seems awfully complicated, and it's almost like an excuse.
Yeah. And that's how it comes off to me. So you're absolutely right. When they say, well, we're not seeing anything tonight because there's 2 or 3 rat bastards in the crowd that have brought their bad attitudes with them. So, and it's on a cruise. So, I mean, I don't know, if you're on a cruise, everyone's either half drunk or mad or pissed off from losing in the casino, right? So
How much were they charging for that cruise, I wonder?
I don't know. I saw apparently it sold out pretty quick because I mean he does have a pretty, and you know, it would have been an interesting cruise. Don't get me wrong. I would have loved to have been on that cruise just to see, at least to witness how people get into it. Not to witness or try to do CE5, but to witness the people in the process and see what they actually do. It'd just be like going to a normal CE5 event, right? I wouldn't mind going to one in the desert just to watch the people. I would be the guy that I would just be like, Dr. Greer, you don't want me over there because I will be one of the rat bastards that bring the bad attitude and you'll want to kick me out. So let me just be off to the side, not emitting any of my, bastardness. So, that would be my stance. But the cruise would have been, you got to admit, that would have been interesting to watch, right? So,
Yeah, it sound you'd meet some interesting characters on a cruise like that. But again, how many people are on this cruise, and why is this not front page news? Any of this evidence from because these cruise ships, don't they fit thousands?
yeah, and I don't know. I mean, if it was solely a cruise for that, it could have been just one where they reserve a certain amount of spots. Like some cruises hold 3,000 people, 2,500 people, and maybe they have 500 spots available to do the CE5 experience. So I have no clue, but if folks want to watch it, you can watch Dr. Greer's presentation of it on YouTube. Just, search the Dr. Greer podcast, and it's the most recent video. So yeah, that was kind of interesting. The other thing that got released was if you watch Weaponized, so they had the new tic-tac video that came out, right? So there was a newer one, and it kind of looks like the older one too from 2017. Now that was the video release. The actual tic-tac incident happened in like 2004. The video was released in 2017, and then they just released another one, and that was from an incident that was on the USS Jackson in 2023. So much newer, but the video looked exactly the same. So that is what is so. And if I am wrong about that, someone can correct me. I've looked up the dates the best I can, but the newer Tic Tac video, I'm pretty sure it's from 2023 on the USS Jackson. And so there is 20 years of separation between a Tic Tac video in 2023 and a Tic Tac video or a Tic Tac incident in 2004. And the shit looks exactly the same as far as fuzzy video. And it's just like, we have to be able to get further along than this. I know that.
I saw that too, and I had a similar thought. It's like, it's just, again, give us something better.
And it may just be my, I'm just not knowing, not realizing that this is just radar technology, right? It's never going to be really good quality off these ships. Like, that's not what they do. They're not out there documenting high quality documentary type, photographs and video. They're meant to be able to do lock on and radar and that kind of thing. So it may be just because it's that type of setting this is being captured in. But the big thing that came from that wasn't the Tic Tac video to me. That was just, okay, there's another video. The big thing that came from that was, now, again, another ratcheting up of a good witness, which is the operations specialist that came forward after that video. And it was like they released the video, and then Knapp and Corbell got on a few days later, and they have the interview of Alex Wiggins, who is an operations specialist on the USS Jackson. It says he's got 23 years of service, and here's the kicker: he's still in active duty. So we had a lesson taught to us, is that you can speak on these things in active duty as long as he makes the statement up front that he is not speaking for whatever branch he serves in, which I believe this is Navy. As long as he says, you know, I'm not speaking for the Navy, I am speaking in my own capacity, you're good. And I even saw some questions where some of the reporters that cover this on X was asking some questions of some of the secretaries that handle communications from the press within the DOD or within the Pentagon. And, you know, and they replied back and told him, look, you know, he's active duty. He's allowed to say what he wants in his own capacity. He knows that he cannot make a statement on behalf of whatever branch he belongs to. But he can speak in his own capacity. And man, he did, because he went into pretty good detail in that interview. If folks haven't watched it, where he's talking about these things coming up out of the water. He says one of his radar spotters tries to tell him it was just a commercial flight, and he pulled him over directly to the radar to show him what a commercial flight looks like, to show him the difference. So, the guy seemed pretty adamant that, you know, what he saw, he had never seen anything like that before. And then apparently something I learned else from that interview that I didn't pick up from the video, there was 4 objects that day. It wasn't just the one tic-tac. So, because he said he saw them fly off together in like formation or something. So that was really interesting too. So that's very interesting news. And people have to realize these are the big things that are happening that we're probably just sleeping on. Because when these big names like that come forward, it's getting higher and higher in credibility. I don't know of another time when someone from active duty military have come forward and said, hey, you know, this is what I saw. It was anomalous. It was not anything like we've ever seen on radar or captured. That's big news to me. It's not really the video itself. Because it's just fuzzy. It's just a black dot on the video. It's the people who are on the ship that are supposed to be trained observers and everything else. And when they come out and back these kinds of stories up, that's where I think it really makes stuff like what Corbell and Knapp released a little sharper. So.
Yeah, I agree with that, because they're putting their reputations on the line.
Right. Yeah,
definitely. Guys like Tim Gallaudet coming forward,
and he mentions Tim. Yeah, I think he had reached out to Tim, is what he said. And Tim is the one that kind of got him in contact with people of who he could talk to. And I guess he's the one that got him in contact with Jeremy and George. But he mentions, reaching out to Tim. I guess Tim is like working as now this like conduit between like, hey, if you're in the military and you want to, because that was in some of the documents that was in the Anna Paulina Luna forced release. We keep crediting her. I guess she had something to do with it, but there's some documents in there talking about how there is no formal way to database these things that come from military and government agencies like FAA. Like there's no formal database where they take in UAP and UFO activity. I know that's something that maybe Ryan Graves is working on. I think he does it more from like a commercial sense. Like he's wanting commercial pilots to be able to say what's in the sky. But I thought he had like a military tilt to that as well, where he's trying to help anyone in the sky, any kind of pilot, be able to give the interaction and let people know what's going on in the sky. So, but yeah, he did mention Tim Gallaudet, helping him kind of get connected and tell his story. So, people, it's just going to be 1 or 2 people come up like this. And then next thing you know, you're going to have more and more, and it's going to be more active duty. And again, this is a conversation that people have to have. If you don't want to believe in UFOs and aliens, okay, that's fine. But when are we going to have the conversation about active duty or former active duty, high-ranking military or government officials having these stories and sightings? When are we going to have that conversation about when does that become alarming? And that's what people have to start asking. If you don't want to focus on UFOs and aliens, fine. So let's move on to the tangible evidence of we got people who are operators and high-end military and government people who are seeing some wild stuff and having some wild conversations. Even if you want to look at Harold Malgram's interview and just say, well, he wasn't hands-on, even though he said he handled some of the material. And I even think he speaks about being at Los Alamos and handling some of the material. Jesse was on the phone with him because not all of it, the interview was in person. And he says that he held some of the material in his hands because somebody asked him like, hey, grab that material. Let us feel that. What do you think? And he was like, yeah, that's crazy. But he wasn't hands-on, I don't believe, to, anything, any like sightings or active downings, like where something just came down and he rushed out there and was one of the ones active on the scene. But, that's probably the new conversation we have to start having is how many of these people have to come forward from these high ranking positions before the dam breaks and we go, okay, this is way too many people coming out saying that they're seeing something or something's going on. And then it kind of pushes, the narrative forward.
Yeah, and like you used Lou Elizondo's example of, okay, you wake up in the morning and someone has walked mud all through your house. There's boots, nothing's taken, nothing's damaged, but something's been there. Is this something to just say, let's just not worry about it? And that's what the people that think that they're just like, oh, it's aliens, it's nothing. But there's something, whether it could be a foreign adversary, black operations, who knows? But I don't think it's something we should just ignore. And even the non-believers that it could be extraterrestrial or crypto-terrestrial should have a little bit of interest, I would think.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why we had the video, 3 weeks ago or so with Pavel from Psychoactivo on, and he was talking about the Nazca mummies, and that's another one that people just sleep on, and that's tangible evidence.
And that I did not know. That one actually opened my eyes a little bit, the one that you did. And it's on this channel, guys, if you want to search up the Nazca Mummies, the Hannibal TV, that it's kind of been swept under the rug and put in the category of some of them were fake. And a lot of people like how I thought that they all were.
Me too.
But they're apparently, it's not like that. There's some that are actually still unknown.
Yeah, they are actually to form. They were not assembled bodies, which was something that was floated out there for a while, that these were recreations or something. And all it took was them to find one that was. Go find a skeleton or something that was like made of like different animal pieces and formed together to look like a human skeleton. Okay, but that doesn't mean that's what all of them are. And so I think that's
and there's the link there, guys.
Yeah.
If you want to search it up after. Pavel definitely knows his stuff on that, and we can all be jealous of Casey's cigar that he's smoking away at in that episode.
Yeah, that's a good spot to go to, by the way. Any, cigar lounge podcasting. That was fun.
Yeah, that looked pretty fun.
But the one thing he does bring up there, though, recently is that I believe the Peruvian or the government of Peru, their ministry, has acknowledged the mummies now, like that, like as actual like scientific evidence. And that was another big release that just came out. And again, we don't really hear about it. The news really doesn't hit here as much because of, again, just an attached stigma. People don't want to be associated with it yet, even if there is a lot of science to back it, which there is. People just, it's not really something people want to pay attention to right now until there's something more there to grab onto, just like with the UFO UAP subject. People kind of keep it at arm's length and they'll grab onto it when they feel comfortable. So I think that's what the Skywatcher team is trying to do with their stuff. But their first couple videos, the first one was actually pretty good to me because it backed up the egg retrieval UFO. But the second one was really underwhelming. I mean, it looked like any kind of go on Prime Video, go on Netflix, go on any of these where they post YouTube, where they post UFO videos or UFO documentaries. It could have been any of those. But I'm hearing that they are trying to do a release where it's irrefutable evidence. I want to see what that is because they made a lot of statements in their second video that they had no evidence for. So one of the objects that they never got anywhere close to other than a fuzzy photo on a screen, they said it was not human. You have no way of determining that. If you didn't get anywhere close to it, you don't know what it is. And one of the guys there on the Skywatcher team is like, well, we definitely know it wasn't human. And it's like, how do you know that? You didn't get anywhere close to it. So, you know, I'm a little careful with them when they say, oh, we're going to do something where it comes out and it's irrefutable evidence. Not even a debunker would be able to, you know, debunk it. I'm a little careful with that because I'm like, yeah, but you also saw an object from thousands of feet away that you couldn't identify and you called it non-human. So I'm still a little sketchy and skeptical there with this team, but I guess we'll see. Maybe they'll knock our socks off. They'll do something good. But yeah, it should be. We keep saying the next month is going to be pretty busy, but they keep moving back some of these things. You know, like one of them was the Age of Disclosure documentary. We all want to see that, right? Unless I've not missed something or I've been under a rock, I don't think it still hasn't been released. Now, I did hear on an X, formerly they would call them Twitter Spaces, and but I heard on X James Fox talking about maybe where that is, what's going on with Age of Disclosure, the documentary. And he said it probably could be a distribution issue, trying to find a distributor type thing. So that may be why it's held up. And he says people don't realize it just takes months to go through that process and to get, he calls it getting into queue. I guess you get into queue where a distributor will finally pick you up and put out your documentary. So I think that's where Age of Disclosure is hung up at, and that's why we've not seen it yet. But that's supposed to be pretty big when it does come out, right? So, and then the S4 documentary is a big one. That's supposed to be the one of Bob Lazar, and it's supposed to be what we've all been wanting. That's been following that story is a more detailed view of S4. Like walk us through S4, walk us through the halls of S4. Let us, and again, for people that don't know, S4 was apparently where Bob Lazar worked. Bob Lazar came out in the late 80s, early 90s, said he worked at Area 51 complex out there. People have to realize there's a lot out. And I know you went out there, Devin, right? You went out into Vegas. I don't know how far you went up there, though.
Oh, no, I went right to the sign.
That's right, you did.
Sign, yeah.
Yes. Did you see the camo dudes? Did they come up
yes. Yeah. While they were watching us, I did 2 videos up there, and one of them, they're up there. But obviously, you know, if you go any further, they're going to pull and fine you. And me being a Canadian citizen, I'm not going to risk anything. So I turned around, but it's very cool going up there as a UFO geek. There's a whole aura up there. But yeah. I waved to the camo dudes.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. But were you there? It was all daytime, right? You didn't stay at night or anything?
Yeah, no, because the thing was, I had gone the day before thinking that the Area 51 museum was near Area 51, but it's actually 3.5 hours in the other direction.
Yeah.
And it's a trick. So the whole first day was ruined. So the only way of going was to go again the next morning before my flight. So we left at like 4 a.m. I was there at like 6:30 in the morning.
Okay. Yeah. So for people that don't know, there's just a lot out there, right? There's Creech Air Force Base. If you go look up that story, that's where I believe his name is Charles Hall. I believe he talks about running into tall whites there.
Yeah.
And there's that story, but there is Creech Air Force Base. Then when you kind of go north, north and maybe a little to the east. That's where you run into Groom Lake, Area 51.
Here I am here.
Oh,
Area 51 now.
I think this is
Nice.
the one where you see the
It's
Jeep.
a little bit further in,
there's a
Yeah,
Joshua
there's the
tree.
sign.
but as you can see, there's a warning sign here that you could get in a lot of trouble, and I am Canadian. Don't want any issues being here to get to the actual.
Let's see here. Okay, there might be another. Let me go back for a second. I'll go back to it, but there's another. There's Area 51 Hannibal,
Yeah, I thought I saw one too
where the
you
trucks.
you had some
I-
scoping you.
Yeah. Okay. Here it is.
Area 51 here. There appears to be some people keeping an
Where
eye
is
on us because this is a military base. But you can get $1,000 fine, have your car towed and impounded, and be brought to Hico, Nevada to be processed, and then be stuck having to find your own way back. So we're not trespassing anywhere yet, but
Oh, just $1,000. That's chump change to you, Hannibal. You should have just went for it.
here.
Where's the truck though? I know. Okay, there it is. When you zoom in on it,
There's
yeah.
there they were. You can see they were watching.
the truck observing us.
So they
That's
definitely
awesome.
keep an eye on you there.
Yeah.
But it was fun. I had a blast.
Yeah, and I mean, so you have Creech Air Force Base out there. Then you also have Groom Lake.
Hey, maybe it was one of the camo dudes that hit me the other day.
Yeah, that's what I was getting ready to say. I was like, man, I was just getting ready to say that. It's like maybe you got payback for zooming in on him or something. But yeah, so you have Area 51, Groom Lake, and then if you go directly west, and then you're looking on a map, you have Tonopah. So, and these places are constantly now. I don't think Creech does, but Tonopah and Area 51, Groom Lake, those keep constant flights going back and forth. You watch them on flight radar. It's Janet flights is what they're called. I think they say Janet stands for just another extraterrestrial or something like that. But it's the white 737s with a red stripe going down the side of them that take off out of Las Vegas. And that's who takes the staff, the people that work there back and forth from Tonopah and Area 51. Lazar said that he didn't work at either of those. He actually worked at a place called S4, which was near Groom Lake. That was near the Papoose Lake, dry lake bed, just over the mountain range from to the west of Area 51. And there's some really cool visualizations coming out of this documentary, though, because one thing he talks about is, you know, how you can't see S4 from satellite imagery because it's built into it's built in a way to where when the hangars would open, you wouldn't even be able to tell. It's built into the side of the mountains there at Papoose, where looking down, you can't tell because of how they made the hangar system into the side of the mountain. And there's a visualization of that in that S4 that I saw, and it is awesome because I've played around just looking on Google Earth trying to see what I could see out there, and I don't see anything. But then when they showed the visualization in S4 of what it should look like looking down on it, well, no wonder why you can't see it is because the way they have it built out from how Bob Lazar recalls it, you would never be able to see it from bird's eye view. So that'll be a neat one to see. But again, I don't know when this stuff is coming out. But this is really, and I'm glad we're kind of staying up on this month to month because this is a make or break it year. There's a lot of these prophecies that we've been following that have come out that are just slowly falling off. I mean, the underwhelming one from Coltart, it never happened. He said that all hell was supposed to be broken loose by now. It did not happen.
Yeah, he actually said, Ross Coltart, and I remember this, all hell will break loose in March.
Yeah, by March.
Well,
And
we're now almost in May.
Yeah, it just, nothing happened.
So one thing I will say about Ross Coltart, and I do like him overall, but he
Yeah.
will exaggerate things. He's in a News Nation business.
Yeah.
He's got to get hits. He builds stuff up, but I mean, a lot of the stuff that he builds up too much, and I think that's what turns some people off. Is
Yeah.
it's just underwhelming when it comes out, and there's only so many times where you're going to hear all hell's going to break loose.
Yeah.
And then what happened in March? Really, was there
Yeah.
anything like little bits and
No.
pieces?
I
But
mean,
nothing.
Jesse kept releasing stuff, and I think he kept harping on the drones pretty well.
And clearly Ross is not talking about Jesse Michaels because they're technically competition.
Yeah. And I mean, and I will say something real quick about the drones, talking about that Pilgrim incident that I was talking about at the beginning of the podcast, that was documented in the releases. They actually ask in those documents, and that was from 2015. It was from October 2015, this UFO sighting that the state police saw, the Massachusetts state police saw, and they couldn't identify what it was, even from their helicopter. And if you start reading, there's an email chain that got released into that document drop on the National Archives. And they actually ask several times in the email chain. Now, this goes back to 2015, if this was a drone sighting. And they actually call it and ask if it was a drone sighting several times over. So I think that does give some of Ross's, I'll give Ross some kudos, because Ross had kept making a claim that his sources are telling him that drone sightings have been happening for years and years and years. And then we have this document dump that happens on National Archives, and all of a sudden we do see, going all the way back to 2015 and maybe some further, I haven't read them all yet, they're talking about drone sightings. And this is the Northeast, right? Massachusetts. So there may actually be something to that. So I will give Ross some credit, and I'm like you, I like his stuff too. I like Ross, but I get to be critical, right? I'm a content consumer. So I get to consume their content, and then I get to have an opinion. And yeah, I mean, he probably drummed us up a little bit for the March stuff, but no, nothing happened.
Yeah, and the other thing, what turned me off about him, because I have a lot of friends in New Jersey, and thanks all of our viewers in New Jersey, we have a lot of them on this channel. But when he kept saying that the drones were still being seen in the same consistency, and people were just stopping reporting on it, I had friends there that were flat out telling me the sightings had slowed down. So it's like he directly was trying to pump something up there that I'm sure there was still some happening, but like it's not like they were happening at the same consistency, or I do believe it would have stayed in the news.
Well, and going back to Skywatcher, Jake Barber did a release on X of a couple videos, and I critiqued him in his thread, and he liked it. He gave my critique a thumbs up. I don't think he responded back to it. Some of his loyal followers tried to attack me on there. Good luck with that. I'm not going to take the bait. But it's all I asked Jake was, he released some stuff where he said he got called up there to document the drone sightings, right? He releases a couple videos on X, and all it is just some lights in the sky. It could have been anything. And I critiqued him by saying, look, whenever, and I used to do this, so people follow along with this, do this yourself. If people keep releasing these damn lights in the sky videos, there's a very easy process to go through and figure out what it is. And I'll give you, for instance, one guy put one, I don't even know who he was on Instagram. He's like, I just saw this. This was not an airplane. What the hell is this thing? And he was driving down the interstate at night, and he filmed it. I replied to him and I said, will you give me the date, time, and general location of where you were? He's like, I was at this exit, going by this exit on this interstate. It was at this time, and it was on this date. You can do flight radar playback. I did flight radar playback. His exact area where he said there was a Gulfstream going right, which is like a private jet or whatever. It was a Gulfstream jet. That's all I remember. It didn't have a call sign. So that may be the weird thing about it, is when you look on flight radar, they normally give a call sign to these aircraft. It said no call sign, but it was a Gulfstream. And it was right there at 200 feet in altitude. It was landing. And I replied back and I gave the guy all the details. Here's the altitude. Here's was the ground speed. And here's what you saw. And the guy was actually really appreciative. He's like, man, I wish more people would do this instead of being an asshole and saying, oh, you don't know what you saw, you idiot. Try to look it up try to talk about it, have a dialogue. That should be okay. If someone shows me a video of a light in the sky, I don't care who the hell it is. I don't care if it's Jake, Donald Trump, whoever. If you're showing us a light in the sky video, you gotta at least do the step one stuff. And the step one stuff is just do the easy part of pulling up a flight radar app and showing that it's definitely not anything. And I'll give a call out to somebody. I think it's AJ Fison. He was covering the drone stuff there for a while. I may be pronouncing his name wrong, but he was covering the drone stuff for a while. And he did one video where he went out to sea on a guy's like really nice boat, and they filmed some stuff. And every time they saw a light in the sky, he would pan his camera over to his phone for an active flight radar capture. And it's free. I mean, you go on flight radar and you can see what's right above you. And he would say, see, look, this light is right over here above us at 10,000 feet. There's nothing on flight radar, and this thing has been sitting here for 30 minutes. Okay, that's compelling to me because he's doing everything he can to show you that it's nothing conventional. When Jake goes and releases videos of lights in the sky, people, there are tons of lights in our sky. I mean, there are satellites that go overhead. I've watched satellites go over my head. I've seen Starlink go over. I've seen the ISS go over. There's always airplanes out local from local municipality airports and then primary airports. There's lights in the sky all the time. If I posted lights on the sky, I would be doing it around the clock. And some don't flash and look like normal airliners because maybe there's cloud cover and you couldn't see the flashing of their landing lights, and all you could see is one light. So that's where we have to be more critical and we got to push back on these people, because when they're putting out this evidence and they're claiming to be ratcheting up the quality of the evidence like Skywatcher, but then they give us the same stuff that we've been looking at, we should be able to critique that. Don't lose that, because people fall into like this faithful servitude for these groups for no reason. There's nothing wrong with critiquing them. And when I critiqued Jake, he actually liked my post. He did not reply and go, you piece of shit, why did you why did you say all that? No, he liked it because I'm trying to help them. If they want to be taken seriously, then when you show a light in the sky, follow some basic, and you're calling yourself Skywatcher, then you're going to have to follow some basic steps to earn that, right? And just do some basic things to prove to us that you're not seeing an airplane, you're not seeing a helicopter. And people responded to me all mad. Oh yeah, who are you? You're telling Jake how to watch things in the sky. Look, that guy has tons of more experience in the sky than me. That's not even questioned here. What I'm talking about is putting videos on the internet of an orb in the sky. You're going to have to do better than that. I mean, you're going to have to pull things up like apps or something to show us and cancel out conventional things. So I know I kind of went on a soapbox there for a minute, but I think that's stuff we're going to have to start being aware of as they release more and more.
Yeah, and speaking of what they've been releasing, let's just show the fans here and they can look into it themselves. But this is what Anna Luna has been sharing, like all these UFO records, and there's a lot to go through here.
Yes, there is. And
you can order negatives and everything.
Yeah, and there's a lot, and it's a lot of events and activities that have happened. Yeah, that's a very well-known. See, that's a picture that's been out there. I think that one was taken decades ago. That's honestly one of my favorite UFO photos because there's no way to fake that.
Yeah.
That was taken by I think that was taken by the first camera ever made kind of thing. I'm joking when I say that, but it's like
Yeah, I mean,
edition 1 camera, and when they took it, it's like there's no way to fake that. So
I mean, maybe next week we can go into some of this with the fans, but I
sure.
mean, I haven't even. I mean, this one's pretty good to me, and I haven't even seen this one. This is interesting.
No, I've not seen that one either. And there may be some good photo releases in there, but some of the ones when I was clicking around, I was like, okay, we've seen that one, we've seen that one. And
This
some of
is
them.
interesting. Like, yeah, there's some weird. I mean,
That looked like the infamous Lou Elizondo lampshade. See how that looks like a lampshade glare?
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about that
I
one.
wonder what it says. Can you get the write up?
Yeah, because I remember it looked kind of like that photo where Lou is standing giving a presentation of a UFO, and he totally showed one where it was just a glare of a lamp, and
Yeah, I mean, this is.
and you could even see the lampshade like glare after you notice it, and you're like, oh wow.
Yeah, and he's doing that presentation in front of a bunch of people too.
Yeah, yeah, that was a rough moment for him.
I'm not even sure what this is.
Yeah.
Mushroom cloud.
Okay. Yeah, and I mean that'll be cool to start seeing if they release more of these tag along. I'm going to be searching it for things like that. Some of these terminologies that are thrown out there. So maybe Malgram was giving us little hints and clues of things to search for. So such as looking for tag along. Oh, we have video. UFO
The 3
sighting
crew
over
members
Alaska.
of Japan Airlines Flight 1628 were on their way to
No, I don't know if this is just audio or not, though.
Tokyo from Paris with a cargo of French wine. They had just left Canadian airspace.
I guess maybe it's a story about the UFO over Alaska.
Maybe.
But yeah, again, guys, this just was released. And some of this stuff I have seen, but I guess they're officially releasing it now.
Yeah, like
From
some
Roswell.
of these. I mean,
yeah,
like
this
that
was-
Glenn Dennis interview, Greer released that a long time ago.
Yeah,
So,
but now we have them in the National Archives, which I
yeah.
guess is good. Record of U.S. Air Force Base commands and activities.
Yeah, like some of the things I would want to see coming out of this, like when people say, well, why do you have to be skeptical of everything? What the hell are you looking for then if you want to see something cool? Well, this landing at Holloman. Have you ever heard of that? The Holloman landing?
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm very interested in that because that's where the deal was supposedly made.
Right. That's the kind of stuff I want to see. If a document comes up that backs up the Holloman landing or something like that, or I know we'll probably never get to see the video that apparently exists of that, but
Yeah, and apparently they were going to release that at one point, and that was all part of that UFOs Past, Present, and Future documentary,
Yes.
which I would suggest people even go back and look at that because that originally was going to be the Disclosure documentary, right?
Yes. Well, that was a CIA documentary, essentially.
Yeah.
The CIA sponsored that documentary, and that was supposed to be the crowning moment of that documentary was the Holloman landing. And then someone has done all the work on that to show that actually that was just a recreation of the video that they did show. So some people say, well, they did show the real landing and they showed a few seconds of it. And actually, I think when you go back and you see the video and the analysis that was done of it, it was probably just a reenactment of it. It wasn't the actual landing. So, but yeah, I mean, those are the kind of things I search. I remember things like this. And then when a dump comes into the archive, you start keyword searching Holloman, landing, tag along again to try to back up what Malgram is saying, launch or testing, things like that. These are keywords that I'm trying to look at because I'm really interested in this thread that they keep pulling on with UFOs showing up at launchings, because now we're starting to see, and it's just a theory I have, but we're starting to see a lot of aircraft incidents. And And I don't know if you saw it or not, but there was a video released of an object going by when that one helicopter went down in the Hudson here recently, and they showed
Yeah.
right before it there was an object that went by in the sky.
Yeah.
I'm just starting to wonder with some of that stuff. It's like, we've always been worried about midair collisions. Like, why are they not worried about midair collisions? It's like, are we starting to see them and they're just not wanting to tell us? All of a sudden we have, because that helicopter just split apart. Half of it came down over here and the other half came down over here. And it's like, what the hell happened to it up there? So now that we're starting to hear about that, and then, you're having rockets starting to malfunction a lot, break up on, and have problems and blow up in the sky. It makes you wonder. I have no evidence other than, the happenings, the constant uptick in something going on in the sky. They will not tell us what was in the sky from a couple of years ago, and we're still pressing them on that because it comes up every now and then when we had the Chinese spy balloon that they shot down other things, right? They shot down things over Canada. They shot down things over the Great Lakes, and they still won't tell us what was shot down. So stuff we got to push back on.
Yeah, and they did put out a picture. The government of Canada did release a picture to CTV News in Canada of the one that was shot down over Canada, and it did look very interesting. So, the one that they said was a weather balloon, they showed evidence it was the weather balloon. The other three, other than the Canadian government thing, which I'll look up now as we shut it down here. If there's anything else you want to touch on, I'll look that up for the.
Yeah, just like I said, kind of keeping a lookout for the documentaries that come out. I know everyone's interested to see those and figure out if there's anything else great that was released from that. There's got to be something interesting because, again, Chris Mellon was in the Age of Disclosure. We've seen him in a lot of things. But did he say something that was even far above and beyond what he's been divulging in other settings? Because why was his Wikipedia page deleted? That kind of thing is what everyone's got question marks about. Did he say something in that documentary that was,
And here we go. Fox News even covered it. For some reason, there's two that they never shut down, but Fox News released the picture that CTV News in Canada got. This here was the spy balloon or weather balloon shot down over Canada. And they admitted that for security reasons, this was a photocopy of a black and white scan of it. So they're not saying this is the best image they have. It's a photocopy of.
So it could have been a white background and a black object.
Yeah.
Other than the other way around. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So,
and
again, that doesn't look like the same debris as the spy balloon.
No.
To me, anyways. And then it's just curious why the other two haven't shown up. So
yeah, you can't shoot something down and not get something from it, not with our level of technology. So,
and it's interesting that the Canadian government, which is pretty quiet overall about UFOs, were the ones that released that. But yeah, it's like it almost looks like a Pac-Man thing. And those were $750,000 missiles to shoot those down. And on one of them, they missed.
Yeah.
So, like, you guys are saying, like, what are they? Like, are we that stupid that we're shooting down, like, hobbyist balloons?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, I would hope we're not spending that much money to shoot down, just like a $20 balloon that someone put up. So, but this is what people believe. People hear these stories and it works, right? Because people go, oh yeah, we updated our radars and we're picking up more shit now. And we didn't realize how many balloons were in the air for weather balloons.
Yeah,
and we shoot at a few of them.
And my father, God bless him, I love him, but he's one of the ones that will like take whatever the official word is.
Yeah.
And he actually sent me a story from the National Post, like the national newspaper, explaining how the spy balloon was just a spy balloon and the other, and how it didn't actually collect any data. I do not believe for 1 second it didn't collect any data. It would have had the data immediately.
Oh yeah, it was probably transmitting the whole time. Yeah. Yeah. So, but that's, I mean, again, now folks, I have it from my senator here, one of my senators here in North Carolina. His DOD staff said that those objects that were shot down is something that's still under investigation. So that we can say there's nothing there, but they're also not wanting to say anything about it. So there is something to it.
And I did actually interview an active duty Marine not too long after that happened. And I interviewed him about something else. He did lose a leg, and it was about he's still active duty. And he said he couldn't comment on it because of his level of classification that he had. But he did say it bothered him that these type of incursions happened, and he doesn't feel that they were hobby balloons.
Yeah, and they're not going to tell you about it.
No,
because you know, I don't want to do it. I don't want to say this. I don't want to harp on it again. But again, people, go look at it. I know not everyone watches every episode, so if you haven't heard me talk about it, go Google.
I do have a playlist of your podcast with me so far on here, the UFO Prophets podcast. And I believe the link is in the description of this video too, so you can see all of.
Yeah, Japan's response to Doolittle. Just go look it up. And they attacked us with balloon bombs. So some people got killed trying to drag one of them out of the woods in Oregon. I always bring that up because they kept it top secret for decades. They kept that for top secret, and it happened in the 40s. And Japan was floating balloon bombs over here. Some made it to the mainland. Some of them obviously landed in the woods because when some people picnicking tried to pull some out of the forest in Oregon, it killed 5 or 6 people picnicking. So, you know, I tell people that story and they look at me and they're like, "You're crazy. You're making that up." It's on the Air Force's website. It got declassified, I think in the 90s. So when they were trying to answer Roswell, they declassified it. Because they were saying that what we were doing in Roswell was we had got the idea from Japan, the balloon bombs. And we said, hey, let's build something like that. And they're claiming that's what crashed in Roswell, was us testing these reconnaissance balloons. But I bring that up just to say, if it happened before, history can repeat itself. They're not going to tell you. If someone was floating a bomb over here again, they're not going to tell you. They didn't tell you back then. They didn't tell you in the 40s. They waited 50 years to tell you about it. So they're not going to tell you. And if you don't think they keep that shit secret, they've already shown you once before that they kept it secret because they didn't want to create panic, right? If people knew there was bombs floating over their head, during the 40s when all that shit was going down, it'd probably create panic. So they just didn't tell people. So
there you go. Well, fans, I appreciate everybody watching. I hope you got caught up on some of the latest UFO news. We're going to be trying to do this every week. I appreciate it. UFO Tarheel, all the way from Charlotte, Horseman Country, North Carolina. I'll let you close this down with whatever else you want to share with the fans.
Yeah, you can follow us on X. We'll try to keep up and keep some notes out there. And obviously, when some of these things get released, they're 2 and 3 hours long. So we realize not everyone's going to sit around and try to digest a 3-hour sitting of like one of these content releases or documentary releases. So, we'll do it for you and we'll try to disseminate the good stuff for you. So yeah, definitely stay tuned.